cute little bee. Sing Masala, best party ever. Sing, we're here, always be a...
Hey guys, Akami Girl here, and welcome to episode 3 of Lost and Unreleased My Little Pony toys. If you haven't seen the first 2 episodes of the series, I highly recommend watching them first. Links to both can be found in the description down below. In this video, I'll be covering the most sought after and rarest G4 brushable prototypes. Before we dive into that discussion, however, I want to provide some updates regarding a few unreleased toys I mentioned in the previous video. In the comment section of my last episode, MLP Salt Productions informed me that a collector in the MLP community does in fact own a Blossom Forth with bangs. The collector, Happy Pony House, is luckily still active in the community, so I was able to reach out to her on Instagram. She was able to provide photos of this extremely rare pony with clear proof of her 4-lock rooting. Thanks to now knowing her production code, we do know when this pony was produced, on March 7th, 2011. This was the same day my normal Blossom Forth was produced, meaning she was manufactured at the same time as the normal releases. Happy Pony House brought this pony several years back on a Turkish secondhand site called Dolap. It's crazy to think that this mysterious pony prototype ended up in Turkey of all places. Unfortunately, she isn't in the best condition, but I'm happy to see that she's in a good collector's hands. The second update is regarding the Secret Surprise ring ponies. In the previous video, I mentioned that 2 of the Wave 1 ponies, Fizzle Shake and Magic Mimics, have 2 color variations each based on the stock photos. While I could find evidence of the pink Fizzle Shake and yellow Magic Mimics, I couldn't find any in-hand photos of the Aqua Fizzle and green Magic Mimic variants. Thankfully, we now have photos which show that these figures are in fact not prototypes, but were released variants. To make matters even more interesting, however, one user, Artstar Winter, sent me a photo of their yellow Magic Mimics, which has green Magic Mimics eye color instead of the usual tan color eyes that this variant typically has. I'm not sure why these two have so many variants, but I'm glad that these now are officially documented. Now with those updates out of the way, it's time to dive in and discuss the most sought after unreleased My Little Pony G4 brushables. So what makes these brushables that I'll be discussing more sought after compared to other G4 brushable prototypes? Well, their demand mainly stems from the fact that these are non-main 6 pony characters that were never actually released, despite looking like a finished product. No pony fits that description more than the first pony we'll discuss, Sweetie Blue. While I did make a video discussing this particular pony a few years back, I feel like it's only right to cover her again with new and updated information that we now have. Sweetie Blue is a light blue pony in a standing pose with a light and dark pink mane and tail. Her mane and tail also have tinsel in it, which matches the 2011 Target exclusive Canterlot line releases. The other part about her mane that stands out is the fact she actually has bangs as opposed to the traditional rooting found with most releases. She has Applejack's eye print and a Cupcake cutie mark that is very similar to Cupcake's cutie mark. While her production code reads that she was produced on October 11, 2010, she wasn't spotted on Taobao until June 13, 2011. Collectors immediately could recognize and identify this pony as Sweetie Blue, as she was released in the first blind bag wave in 2010. There are several rumors regarding this pony's release, or lack thereof. The first rumor was that she was produced as a gift for Hasbro employees for a 2010 Christmas party or company event. Based on the pony's production code, there is a chance that this rumor holds some merit. However, the fact we have seen so few Sweetie Blues in the wild makes it seem unlikely that several were just given out. I feel like if this story was true, we would have seen a few Hasbro employees list them for sale by now. One theory is that she's an early version of Mrs. Cake, as she shares a similar mane, body color, and Cupcake themed cutie mark. Others suggest a theory where she was an early version of the Wave 3 brushable pony Cupcake, as again, they share the same cutie mark design. Once again, I don't think either one of these theories are true, as we know Hasbro did trademark the name Sweetie Blue, as she was already released in blind bag form. She was also re-released in blind bag form on 2 other occasions. This suggests that they held on to the trademark to the design and name. So what was the plan for this mysterious pony? Well, I have a theory, but in order to make sense of it, I first have to discuss the most sought after G4 filly brushable, the Yellow Filly. The Yellow Filly is a unicorn in a standing pose with a violet and pink mane and tail. Much like Sweetie Blue, she also has tinsel in her mane, and she has a 4-lock. This filly doesn't have a name or cutie mark, but she does have Sweetie Belle's eyes. Unfortunately, there is no production code on the pony, however we do know that she was first spotted on Taobao on the same day as Sweetie Blue. Based on this, it's clear there must be some connection between these 2 mysterious ponies. I think there's only one theory that makes the most sense. Both Sweetie Blue and the Yellow Filly were part of a scrap 2011 Target exclusive Canterlot line set. That's a big assumption to make, so let me break it down to why I think this is the case. As previously mentioned, lots of collectors see the similarities between Sweetie Blue and the first Mrs. Cake brushable released in the 2013 Princess Celebration Bakery. In addition to the set including Mrs. Cake, the set also included a little filly named Twirly Treats. While the parallel between the cake-themed Earth Pony and the little filly is there, the production of Sweetie Blue and the Yellow Filly does not line up with the release of this set. There is, however, another Sweet Treat inspired set that was released around the same time of the production of both of these ponies. And that is the 2011 Pinkie Pie Sweets Boutique playset. This playset came with Pinkie Pie, an Earth pony, and Sweetie Belle, a unicorn filly. The pony's races matches up perfectly to the two prototype ponies. In addition, Sweetie Belle is the only filly to be released with a forelock, and it was in this set. The theme of Sweets Boutique also matches with Sweetie Blue. This is especially true when you consider that her blind bag card reads that she loves sweet treats. Of course, if she loves sweet treats, it would only make sense that she would have a Sweets Boutique. The only thing that doesn't add up with this theory is that these ponies do have tinsel in their mane and tails. And we know that ponies with tinsel were first released in the 2011 Target exclusive Canterlot line. For these reasons, I believe that these two ponies were originally planned to be released in the Sweets Boutique playset as a Canterlot line exclusive. In fact, there's even a Taobao listing image showing that these two ponies were for sale alongside other Canterlot line ponies. It seems that Hasbro scrapped the idea of the set and reused the concept for a more widely distributed set with recognizable characters from their new TV show. All this being said, this duo's interesting history, uniqueness, and production completeness makes these two ponies the most rare, expensive, and sought after My Little Pony collectibles of all time. The next pony we'll discuss is another grail among all G4 pony collectors, and that is Minty. I know some of you are already thinking, wasn't Minty released in the 2013 Midnight in Canterlot set? Well, yes she was, but this Minty we're talking about here is an extremely rare Minty prototype, or Minty A. The A signifying that she was the first Minty prototype leaked. There are several noticeable differences between the official release and this prototype version. The prototype Minty is a proper light mint green with two colors in her mane and tail, pastel pink and white. Her eyes are a beautiful light purple color, and her cutie mark consists of 3 pastel colored mints. This is all in contrast to the official 2013 Minty release, who has a pale cyan body color, 1 shade of pink for her hair, and hot pink eyes. Her cutie mark design is still the same, however, this time the colors are much more saturated and the mints have a black outline. While this prototype first appeared on Taobao on August 19, 2011, her final production code notes that she was produced on January 7, 2011, 2 years before the official Minty was even revealed. There has been lots of speculation regarding this Minty's release. On the MLP Arena, a user by the name of Silver mentioned that they had the chance to visit Hasbro Italy in 2011, where they were able to speak with some company employees. It was revealed that Hasbro had no plans to release Minty, however, if they did decide to release her, it would most likely be as an international exclusive pony in a similar way to how Sky Wishes or Rainbow Flash were released. Another collector who spoke to a different Hasbro executive was told that Minty was a seasonal pony release, but there were no current plans to release her. No further information about these proposed releases ever came to fruition, but between the prototype test samples that were produced and the possible release ideas employees mentioned indicate to me at least that Hasbro did consider releasing her in some way. After the first wave of Minty A's were bought off Taobao, no further information was revealed regarding Minty's release for several months. Fans did contact Hasbro during this time, however, requesting her to be made. It seems that Hasbro did take this request seriously, as on May 6, 2013, a Minty brushable appeared on Taobao again. This Minty, however, was not Minty A, but instead Minty B, the second Minty prototype. This prototype looks near identical to the one officially released, however there is one main noticeable difference, and that's with the head mold. The head for the Minty B prototype features a softer, matte, and smoother plastic found on the pre-2013 MLP brushables. The head mold was updated for the toy line in late 2013, which gave ponies a more pointed muzzle and a shinier finish. And this is the head mold that was used for the official Minty release. I think most collectors agree, however, that the Minty A prototype looks far better than the one actually released. For this reason, in combination with Minty being one of the most popular My Little Pony characters, makes this prototype one of the most expensive and sought after ponies of all time. Well, in conclusion, Sweetie Blue, the Yellow Filly, and Minty A are the most sought after and rarest brushable prototypes today. It's unfortunate that after 2013, most brushable prototype leaks seemingly came to a halt. There were a few interesting test shots and factory rejects found here and there, but overall it seems that Hasbro really began to crack down on toy leaks. As a result, 2014 to 2019 became known as a sort of dark age for prototype brushable leaks, with the My Little Pony movie line prototypes being by far the most elusive. Who knows what prototypes were even created during this period? Is what I would have said before 2023. Pony fans, I present to you the massive C Pony prototype leak of 2023. Now I know it's a lot to take in, so let's first step back in time to 2017. At Toy Fair 2017, Hasbro revealed the My Little Pony movie toy line. Among the different toys that were shown, there were brushable and molded hair C Pony releases for the main 6. In addition, they showed off the Land and Sea fashion style ponies. This release had the main 6 ponies sporting a skirt that could be used to transform them into sea ponies. Now, some collectors may notice that most of these ponies shown off at Toy Fair don't look exactly like what was released. For example, Sea Pony Rainbow Dash looks wildly different compared to her actual release, with yellow hair rooting in the front instead of red and a more translucent body as opposed to the more pearlized look the official release got. Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy are also sporting this different finish. If you were really observant, you may have noticed a couple smaller details that were changed in the actual release. This includes Twilight's front rooting color being purple instead of pink, Fluttershy's fin being light pink instead of dark pink, and Rainbow Dash's tail being colored differently. If you were really observant, you may have noticed the black outline around some of the ponies' eyes, or the strange code etched on some of the ponies. The land and sea ponies also have some interesting differences. This includes Twilight's wings being the correct sculpt instead of the traditional Pegasus wings that the official release got, and the fact that the eye print is larger on all these ponies compared to the official release. Of course, Toy Fair samples always tend to differ a bit from their final release, but try to keep these differences in mind. In 2017, a listing was spotted on eBay which had for sale 5 sea ponies, a couple months before any were actually released. From the picture, you can see that Twilight and Applejack have more of a neon color compared to the translucent ones shown at Toy Fair. However, the other ponies, like Rarity, have the strange black eye outline seen on some of the Toy Fair samples. It was certain these were the first ever leaked sea pony prototypes. A bidding war occurred and the winner came out victorious. So who won them?
1, 2, 3! Super pretty!
Toy Genie Surprises, a toy unboxing YouTube channel. Yeah. Luckily, Silver Cascade happens to own Applejack and Twilight, which provides us an up-close view of them both. From these videos, you can clearly notice the more neon translucent plastic they went with for these samples, as opposed to the release ponies which have a pearlized finish. The weirdest thing about these is how far apart their eyes are positioned compared to the ones actually released. After this auction, no other sea pony prototypes were ever spotted. That was until 2023 when a listing popped up on AliExpress that showed not one, not 2, but several My Little Pony sea pony prototypes. We'll be here all day if we thoroughly discussed all of them, so here are the highlights. First, we have the land and sea ponies. Sample versions of Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Rainbow Dash were found, where each of these ponies have a mock-up purple fabric tail and a shiny torso. In addition, Rainbow Dash has the larger eyes seen on the Toy Fair versions. All 3 of these ponies have no copyright information on them, but they do have a mysterious etched production code first seen on some of the Toy Fair samples. There was also a Rarity prototype that was found, with 1 main color instead of 2, and a dress that isn't as shiny. Next, we have the traditional sea pony brushables. First off is the Twilight prototype, which is actually the exact same one shown at Toy Fair. You can tell this by her purple mane rooting in the front instead of pink. The Applejack prototype found looks very similar to her official release, but she does have that mysterious black outline around her eye that we saw in the Toy Fair sample. Next is Fluttershy. Her body is more opaque compared to her official release, and her fin is light pink with dark pink butterflies instead of the inverse found on the released version. There is also no copyright information molded on her. While she's not the same pony as the Toy Fair version, you can see that the fin on the prototype actually matches the Toy Fair version. The Pinkie Pie prototype that was found is a way darker pink compared to her official release, and she doesn't have any molded copyright information on her. Lastly, we have Rainbow Dash, who actually has 2 prototype variants. The first has an extremely movie-accurate tail, down to all the colors being perfectly painted on. The second has a tail closer to the one that was actually released, however the order of the colors is completely different on the prototype version. In fact, the tail design found on this version is the exact same one seen on the Toy Fair sample. In addition, neither one of these samples have any copyright information on them. There are a couple aspects that tie these brushable prototypes together. Firstly, the prototype variants of Rainbow Dash, Twilight, and Fluttershy were actually used for the packaging artwork. The biggest connection all these share, however, is the etched production codes that were spotted on the Toy Fair samples. This, to me, provides clear evidence that these are all in fact prototypes. Last but not least, we have the molded mane ponies. First is Twilight, who's sporting a lighter shade of purple, but more interestingly, her cutie mark print is on the opposite side of her fin, and her tail is completely painted, as opposed to the actual release which doesn't have the underside painted. Next is Rainbow Dash. This prototype is an absolute beauty. Her mane coloring and tail coloring are extremely accurate with a full rainbow on display. In addition, her fin is a much brighter purple compared to the release version's darker shade they went with. Much like prototype Twilight, the underside of her tail is also fully painted. The next 2 prototypes absolutely blew my mind when I first saw them. The first one is Fluttershy, a completely unreleased molded sea pony figure. She has the same fin design as her prototype brushable and has the fully painted tail found on the other prototype molded sea ponies. I think that this figure captures sea pony Fluttershy so perfectly. The uniqueness of this prototype is only rivaled by the last sample we'll discuss. Sea Pony Molded Applejack. Her mane and tail are molded perfectly, however her tail is missing the yellow paint color. Given that the red tie was painted all the way around though, it is likely that this AJ would have had a fully painted tail like the other molded prototypes found. In addition, she does feature the same eye print with the black outline found on the Toy Fair and brushable prototype samples. While the Twilight, Rainbow Dash, and Fluttershy prototypes do not have any copyright information on them, the Applejack prototype actually does. They also all once again have that mysterious etched Toy Fair production code on them. Unfortunately, the Pinkie Pie and Rarity belonging to this mysterious set have not been found. But for me, these 4 prototypes found are proof enough that there was likely a planned wave or set that we never saw. Maybe these were prototypes for a full line of 6 My Little Pony the Movie story sets like the Undersea Cafe or Undersea Sports. Or maybe they were intended to be a standalone set like the Amazon 6-pack of the Glitter and Style Sea Ponies. Unfortunately, we may never know for sure. In conclusion, while the rarest and most sought after ponies of yesterday are a dream for most, it's important to remember that you'll never know what you're going to find next in the world of My Little Pony prototypes. Even years later, it's crazy to think that you can uncover new, unique, and never before seen prototypes. Who knows, we may even find samples that end up being more sought after than even Minty or Sweetie Blue. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of these prototypes? Which ones are your favorite? As always, if you have any additional questions or information about these samples or other My Little Pony prototypes in general, do let me know in the comments as well. I want to give a huge thank you to Silver Cascade for their help on this video by providing me with photos and videos of these amazing prototypes. If you're interested in learning more about these samples and more, you can check out their Instagram by clicking the link in the description down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos in the future.
Yeah.